Hey folks, it's Fernando doing our video for More Survivalists. In this case, I'm going to be addressing the similarities between Hillary Clinton and the president of Argentina, Cristina Kirchner. Now, I don't have anything against either one of them. Well, maybe against Cristina Kirchner. She's not my favorite person because she did ruin my country to a great extent. But Hillary Clinton, maybe I don't agree with most of her political stances. But I think it's important to notice the similarities, because if she ever does become the president of the United States, maybe you will be seeing some of these things reflected in her presidency as well. First of all, they both come from a similar background regarding their political activism as students. In the case of Cristina Kirchner, she was studying to become a lawyer, similar to Hillary Clinton, and according to her, she was a left-leaning political activist. In the case, it was called the Montoneros. These were the branch that was against the military junta of that time. Now, at the same time, in spite of, according to her, being a left-leaning political activist, she was working for banks and kicking people out of their homes and selling those homes and benefiting greatly economically from these actions. So they don't quite align what she says she believed in and what she claims to have been her political activist background and what she actually did. In the case of Hillary Clinton, she also has a background where she was against the Vietnam War. She was an activist for minorities and for the rights of women, but at the same time she was involved in the Republican Party, which later she ended up changing for the Democratic one. Now, at the end of the day, you realize that what she was really doing was building up her career as a politician and would align with whatever is that worked best for her at that moment. So the very clear similarity here between these two women is that in spite of what they claim to believe in spite of what they claim to have done as activists and such, it's not actually being reflected to what they actually ended up doing themselves for their own benefit. Number two is that both of these women actually became who they are because of their husbands. Right? In the case of Cristina Kirchner, it was Néstor Kirchner who became president twice, and she's known and she reached her political status because of that, because of her husband. Same thing for Hillary Clinton. If it hadn't been for Bill Clinton, we wouldn't know who Hillary Clinton is. Number three is that I find that both of these women are the wrong kind of feminists. Now, some of you folks may be thinking there's no right kind of feminist, or on the other end of the spectrum, what do you mean by she's not the right kind of feminist? The thing is this: it is true that for a long period of time, women did not have the same rights as men, and it is true that they had to fight so as to achieve equal rights. That's beyond discussion. No one is denying that. Now, at the same time, you have to realize that at in this time and age, especially in developed countries, there's parts of the world where women truly don't have equal rights. That is obviously true as well. But in developed nations, it's been several decades now that women have had the same rights as men. So what I find is that when you have a woman politician, that her only agenda is being a woman, or her strongest one is being a woman, then maybe she's not that much of a rich politician herself. And I can give you two good examples of this. You have Michelle Bachelet in Chile, president of Chile. She's a woman, and she's not constantly with rolling the drums about her being a woman. She's just doing her job. Same thing for Angela Merkel. You may like her or not, you may like her political or economic views or not, but you cannot discuss that Merkel is not constantly running around telling everyone how she's a woman, and that's not what she's about. She's a person that happens to be a woman and has a an active role in politics. But it's not, it's not all about being a woman for some of these women. In the case of Cristina Kirchner and in the case of Hillary Clinton, that seems to be the focus of attention for them. Number 4, and this is closely linked to number 3, is that they seem to hate men, actually. And maybe it's because of the kind of relationships they were in, because these are all people, these are human beings with feelings and such. In spite of being politicians, you cannot detach yourself from that. What happened to Hillary Clinton with Bill Clinton sleeping around and pretty much in front of the entire world, being with other women, that must have had an impact. Now, it's not something that has happened only to her. It happens to people all the time, but it's not happening to most people in such a huge stage in front of the entire world in such in an embarrassing way. Maybe that's why she has this grudge against men, or at least it would seem that way. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but at least to me, in my opinion, she has this thing against men. Same thing for Cristina Kirchner. She seems to hate men for some reason. She's always constantly, it's like she cannot let go of that point. Constantly making a difference between men and women, even when it's ridiculous to do so. Even when she speaks, she talks about, it's in Spanish language, but she's constantly making the difference between the male and female gender all the time. It's really obnoxious, and it shows that there's really something not computing that well up there. Finally, and this is maybe more of the political, more of a political matter, and in the way in which they may end up affecting the consequences that they may have in terms of a potential presidency, at least in the case of Hillary Clinton. In the case of Cristina Kirchner, she already did all the damage that she could do, and she's now on her way out, apparently, or let's hope so. But finally, is that in both cases, these are women that have this socialist or political left-wing leaning agenda. Some of you guys may even go as far as saying that they have this communist political views, but it's not reflected by their actions, just like it happened in their youth when these were activists. In terms of their actions as politicians, it's not being reflected either. In the case of Hillary Clinton, in spite of all her political activism in favor of minorities, in favor of women, and against war, she's very much about making as much money as possible. You have the cattle futures controversy for Hillary Clinton, where she benefited greatly, obviously, from her political influence and her husband's making a freaking ton of money out of it. So again, this thing about these labels and tags, the Democrat, Republican, I mean, basically at the end of the day, in her actions, she's as Republican and as capitalist as it could possibly be. She's clearly about amassing as much fortune as she could possibly get. She has done so herself whenever she could. She has her daughter married into one of the most wealthiest financial families in the planet. So on their speech, from when they talk, they talk a certain political left-leaning talk. In their actions, they're very much about making as much money as possible. Exactly the same thing for Cristina Kirchner. And there is the difference of the populist thing in South America, but Cristina Kirchner is all about how she's for the poor. She's the new Evita or whatever. But at the end of the day, she's the richest person in the country. She has amassed billions of dollars in secret accounts, and it's shameful the way in which through corruption she amassed impossible fortunes. So, two women that have very clear similarities, and if Hillary Clinton ends up becoming president of the United States, as it apparently seems it's going to be happening, don't be surprised if you see many of these events unfolding in a similar manner as they did with Cristina Kirchner. Folks, that's going to be all for now. Remember to subscribe, share the video, and like, and that's going to be it. Take care and see you in our next video. Have a great day.